In a strange forest-type area stood several people with not-so-normal clothing, seeming like they're some warriors or something. As they were wandering in the place, a cat called them out and grabbed their attention as the cat was selling something. They were shocked to see a wandering merchant cat. They asked the cat what he was selling. The cat put his hand in the bag and removed a cherry tomato and showed it to the people. Few of them were not so excited with this as they thought the wandering cat would bring up something magical. The cat smiled on his own and said he expected the same reaction from humans, but this tomato was different from any other. The cat asked them to check the status window. When they checked about the tomato, they found out that it increases 0.1 MP for 10 minutes and decomposes 10 grams of fats. Shelf life 30 days. The girls there went crazy as they found it to be life-changing. They rushed towards the cat and asked to sell the tomatoes. Some bought 200 tomatoes, some asked for 300. A man asked from where did he get those, to which cat said it was a secret. A young boy farming somewhere was harvesting tomatoes. With him for his help were a few rabbits. They made a juice of tomatoes and honey and decided to call it a day. Then the cat came back and said, "Master Sejun, I'm back." It seems like the young boy's name is Sejun. He praised the cat as he finished the task so quickly, and he was able to sell all the tomatoes so soon. The cat showed Sejun the money which he received from the people after selling tomatoes, seeing which Sejun started manifesting him being known all over the place. The cat ran towards the black rabbit and asked him to fill the basket again with the supplies. Sejun marked a sign on the wall and said it's been 150 days. His name was Park Sejun, and his class was a tower farmer. He seemed to be loved by the animals around. The story of Sejun is how he survived getting lost in the tower. 10 years ago, a 99-floored black tower suddenly appeared in the middle of Gangnam. It wasn't just Gangnam. A total 100 towers showed up at the same time. The towers were made with an incredibly strong material, which couldn't be perforated with nuclear bombs. One day people started to come out of the tower through the wall. Everybody was in shock. Upon asking the people how did they enter the tower, they said they don't remember anything. They suddenly got sucked into a black hole one day. It was everywhere on the news. All 100 towers are connected to one. When you enter the tower, you will be awakened on the first floor and have to pick one role, either a magician or a warrior. Monsters start to show up on the second floor. Every time they clear the floor, they get different rewards like a golden ticket, which was called an item. People who are awakened can get in and out of the tower freely. Though ordinary people need to get this item to enter the tower. The reporters were confused as if people will enter the tower as there are many monsters inside. The agent reported that they're not sure about that. But one thing is sure, going up the tower will get a lot of money. The price of the item was increasing day by day. 200 million starting next week, and there are 100 of people who are ready to buy that ticket. Sejun was in a market store getting the vegetables and thinking if someday he'll be able to collect money for the item. He thought of growing plants as their prices are also increasing. He thought of partnering up with a member of the Moonlight Fairy, Sarah. She was his crush, it seems. He imagined him being successful and proposing Sarah. Suddenly a black hole appeared in front of him. He saw the opportunity to enter the tower as he learned that black hole of this type appears and takes people inside the tower. As the hole was shrinking, he decided to not miss this chance and ran towards it. He jumped and fell down on the ground. When he looked up, he found himself to be somewhere else. Somewhere in the tower, the crystal ball detected a change in the tower, and some dragon-type animal said he had to find out the cause of it as being the manager of the tower. Sejun was stuck in the place, and while being there he opened his YouTube and started looking for information about the tower. Some said there are stores where you can buy many things or a training ground on the first floor. Training is a must if you want to survive in the tower. Sejun roamed for about a day in the cave but found nothing as mentioned in the YouTube videos. He was lost, screamed for help, but nothing happened. He was hungry at the same time. He had a few items which he bought from the vegetable store before getting inside the tower. He ate an apple, which was not enough for him. He also ate sweet potato, then drank some water. He was full, but thought he's gonna die like this. To this thought, he said he'll need to do something. He started digging the mud and decided to grow plants there for his survival, which can provide him food. While doing that, he noticed the moon changed itself, and now it was a blue moon. He started feeling a sort of pain in his body, and he also saw a black dragon. After which he collapsed. His alarm rang again, but this time 2 days passed already. He was shocked and also in pain, tired and low in energy because he had not eaten anything in the past 2 days. He took support of a tree but soon realized that there were no trees 2 days before. He soon got to know that these were the same plants which he planted. He was surprised at how did this grow so big. Then he remembered reading about it somewhere that on the tower someplace, the plants grow even faster than on the land. He saw that the tomatoes also grew faster and in more quantity. He sat down eating the tomatoes. In the tower, the sun doesn't set but occasionally gets hidden behind the moon. They call this phenomenon. He remembered that he saw a dragon 2 days back before collapsing. 10 years back when the towers appeared, one of the major guilds, Phoenix Guilds, made an achievement of clearing the 37th floor. The information from the 30th to 37th floor is top secret. Below the 30th floor information is already available on YouTube. 2nd to 10th floor, they have skeleton soldiers. 11th to 20th, they have goblins. 21st to 30th, they have orcs, and according to some rumors, they have spiders on 31st floor. They never mentioned the dragons. He wondered which floor he was in. It suddenly started raining there. When he looked up he saw something, a rabbit. The rabbit jumped from above. Sejun ran to save the rabbit from hitting the ground. The rabbit hopped on his head and went straight towards the plant. It seems he wanted to eat the fruit. Sejun offered the rabbit some of the food. The rabbit also called one of his partners, another rabbit with a hat and a water can in her hand. They both were a couple. Sejun wrote in his diary about his journey, and he wrote that 2 rabbits joined him in the cave. Sejun, nestled within the cavern's embrace, observed the diligent efforts of both rabbits, meticulously tending to the crops, their unity a marvel to behold. As he immersed himself in contemplation, they approached him, expressing a desire to share his refuge. Wary yet intrigued, Sejun countered with a proposition. They could stay, provided they contributed to the upkeep. Mid-sentence, both rabbits leapt toward him, showering him with affection. Intriguingly, Sejun noticed their possession of magical artifacts, a water can, brimming with an endless supply, wielded by the male rabbit, while the female counterpart wielded a bottomless bag, summoning tools at will. With their swift completion of tasks, Sejun relented, granting them sanctuary within the cave. Their jubilance evident, the rabbits wasted no time, swiftly constructing a dwelling of their own. Observing their efforts, Sejun couldn't help but marvel at their ingenuity. Witnessing the female lead her companion inside, Sejun felt a twinge of bashfulness, yet welcomed the newfound companionship. As he settled against a nearby rock, the sunlight filtering through a discarded water bottle caught his attention, its refracted rays converging like a beacon of revelation. Envisioning himself a host of a wilderness survival program, Sejun embarked on a quest to harness fire using the sun's energy, albeit with initial setbacks. Undeterred, Sejun, alongside his rabbit companions, persisted in their endeavor, their collective determination ultimately yielding success. With the flicker of flames illuminating their makeshift abode, Sejun set about preparing a meal, relishing the warmth and flavor of cooked sustenance, a stark contrast to days past. Jotting down his triumph in his diary, Sejun retired for the night, his hunger sated, his heart warmed by newfound camaraderie. Sejun woke up after a good nap. He stretched his arms and went towards the pond to wash his face. While he was wiping his face, he saw that all the crops were done. Green onion harvesting was completed, and also watering the cherry tomatoes and sweet potatoes were done. He felt good about how things were done before he woke up. He started thinking about all the things that happened lately. They learned how to start a fire. He installed torches using green onions, and they installed a lamp near the pond because it was usually dark there. When they took the lamp near the pond, a fish popped out of the pond, and that's how they were able to obtain fish in the cave. They cooked it and started eating the fish. He wasn't sure if rabbits eat fish, but it seemed like they did. After a couple of days, the blue moon appeared again. The power bank, which he was using to charge his laptop and phone, reached its limit. He started keeping a record of the date by marking a sign on the wall. He figured out that the rabbits used to go to bed exactly at 7 p.m. and used to wake up at 5 a.m. So he followed their body clock and kept track of days. Something great happened after a couple of days. Baby rabbits were born between the rabbit couple. Sejun was happy being their uncle. Sejun also advised the couple to take some rest as it would be tough for them to handle the kids at the same time. He took the babies and went to see the plants. He had to pollinate the flowers by himself in order to bear fruit. He noticed there were fruits on the plant. Sejun was happy. He started preparing for the blue moon. He made a camouflage of grass for himself for warmth and tried convincing himself that the blue moon was just a piece of cake. At night, the time was passing by very slowly. Sejun felt like every minute was equivalent to an hour. He wished that this night would just end again without anything bad happening. Suddenly, he heard the sound of a bear growling. When he looked up towards the sky on top entrances of the cave, there was standing a monstrous red bear. Sejun was scared. The bear had big teeth and it seemed angry. Sejun thought as the bear hadn't noticed him, he would move away from that place. He slowly tried moving away, but unfortunately, the cherries and the bottle fell from his bag which grabbed the attention of the bear. The bear looked down and moved forward to attack Sejun. Sejun was sleeping, and the baby rabbits were trying to wake him up. He was in his deep sleep. The father rabbit gave a slap on Sejun's face to wake him up. Sejun was in deep shock still from last night, but soon he realized that it was a whole another day. His body was still hurting, but he didn't remember a thing that happened after last night. All he remembered was that the bear approached towards him to attack. He thought he almost got killed by a bear. He sat near the fire with the camouflage. The rabbits offered him fish which they caught while Sejun was asleep. He started thinking about the situation as now the monster noticed the place. Also, he thought if he noticed other monsters like the rabbits and all, he got lucky this time. After giving it a brief thought, he decided to just eat well to survive because that's the only thing he can do here. The mother rabbit called Sejun to show him something. There was a shiny blue cherry on the plant. The cherry was already as big as a golf ball, but he was confused as if why the color was blue. When he picked the blue cherry in his hand, a message window appeared in front of him. He was shocked by seeing this. He couldn't believe his eyes. The message said, "You have successfully completed the quest to harvest a fruit containing the energy of the blue moon." Also, the message said that his achievement attracted the attention of the tower manager. Many messages popped up. One of them said that the manager is keeping an eye on you, and another one said that the manager was unhappy. To which Sejun was confused as to why would the manager be unhappy. The tower manager discovered that Sejun was not an invited guest. The tower manager wants to hide its blunder. Sejun was in shock to know that it was a mistake that he landed here. He was furious as he was living there for 61 days, and they called it a mistake. He said he wanted to go home, but the tower manager was thinking of killing Sejun to eradicate the evidence. Sejun was angry as he was expecting a reward for completing a quest, but he got to know that the manager is planning to eradicate him. After a moment, he got a message that the tower manager was awakening him. The manager was assigning him a job. Sejun was curious about what it'd be, a swordsman or a wizard, but the tower manager assigned him a job of a tower farmer. He was given the power of not being sick and will be close to nature according to his work profile. Then his status window opens up. There he noticed that the talent given to him was ordinary. He imagined thoughts where he was giving an interview, and upon asking about his job, he answered tower farmer, which made him feel disgusted. He was about to throw the blue cherry in anger. He noticed the cute family of rabbits and the time they spent together working so hard till date. He decided to let it go, and he accepted being a tower farmer. While he was holding the blue tomato, a message window appeared, and it stated that the tomato was a magical cherry tomato. He was so happy and proud of himself that he was able to grow a magical item. The manager then sent a quest request, where manager asked him to offer the fruit containing the energy of the blue moon. And if he refuses, the penalty is death. Sejun was shocked after reading the quest. It was more of a blackmail for him. He acted tough for a moment, but the word death kept revolving around his head, and finally, he gave up on being so tough and offered the blue cherry to the manager, asking to spare his life. As soon as he gave the cherry to the manager, a message popped up saying quest reward. The message said a job-related skill. Sejun was so involved with the word death that he almost forgot there was a reward attached to it. He obtained the sowing skill. After all, he was a tower farmer. When he went fishing and captured a piranha, he again got a message where he received 2 experience points for killing the piranha. He captured 5 piranhas, which made his points 10. He somehow reached level 2. He also thought that he needed to catch more fish. However, it wasn't the best practice to kill anyone without any reason. He then started eating the fish with all the rabbits. Also, the fish was their source of protein. The small rabbits started eating a lot these days as their appetite was increasing with their growth. He also checked the information about the rabbits and found out that they were called farmer white rabbits. Based on their name, Sejun figured out that they were specialized in farming and not fighting. He started thinking about how the rabbits ended up being here in this cave. He really wished that he could understand what they were talking about. He then stood up and asked everyone to come with him towards the farm. Red cherry tomatoes were grown on the plants. He was so happy with this. As he picked up a tomato, he got a message from the window saying he obtained a magical tomato, and also his job experience points would increase slightly. The magical tomato is nutritious and tasty. When consumed, it decomposes 10 grams of fats and increases 0.1 MP for 10 minutes. Sejun wanted to know if it was the same with every other tomato. He plucked each tomato and received the same message for every tomato. But for some tomatoes which were not well ripened, he received fewer points. So for a magical item, he had to harvest a well-ripe cherry tomato. His level increased to 4. He shared the tomatoes with every rabbit, and they started eating them. It tasted much better than he expected. The rabbits then made storage for the tomatoes and covered it with grass. The rabbit kids were not big enough to help their parents. Sejun went to sleep, and a message popped up from the manager asking for 100 magical tomatoes, and the case was the same again. If he refused, the penalty was death. First, Sejun tried to ignore the message, but after a minute or two, he offered the manager some tomatoes. He received a reward. He got the skill of harvesting. Initially, he thought what was the use of this, but he figured out this was way more useful. The skill used to correct the ripeness of the fruit whenever it was slightly unripe or overripe. He harvested some more tomatoes, and then again, he received a quest request. He offered some more tomatoes to the tower manager, but it again asked for some more and more. The number kept on increasing every time. The tower manager asked for 500 tomatoes, but this time Sejun refused. Sejun was furious at this constant demand from the tower manager. He argued that the manager had already taken hundreds of them earlier, and they also needed to eat some of them to stay alive. The message appeared again, stating that it was the tower farmer's problem, so stop protesting and give the magical cherry tomatoes. Sejun had a moment of anger, thinking he had worked so hard and suffered for days to harvest them. The manager provoked Sejun even more by saying that he shouldn't overreact as it was not a big deal. Listening to this, Sejun said he didn't want to give and gave a straight refusal. The tower manager was flustered. Messages like this popped up on the social window, but Sejun didn't react to any of them. He continued doing his work, cutting the crops with the rabbit, cooking the fish. The social window constantly kept saying that he might die, but Sejun didn't care anymore as he was annoyed that the manager said that the only thing he did was sow the seeds. Sejun said that the manager made him do all of this forcefully, and he didn't even appreciate his efforts. Sejun also mentioned that if he's the manager of the tower, he's a bad employer. The tower manager was shocked listening to this, and somehow he attempted to say sorry but didn't complete his sentence. Sejun closed his ears to all the messages that popped up. Sejun then gave 5 tomatoes and said he would give the remaining tomatoes later as he also needed to feed the baby rabbits. The tower manager compromised for this much as of now. Sejun noticed that the tower manager almost tried to apologize. Sejun was lost for 91 days. The 4th blue moon appeared. He was eating tomatoes so that his MP could increase, and he could withstand the roar of a monster. A shine of moon fell on the plants, and a blue cherry grew there. Sejun couldn't wait to harvest it. Even the sweet potato leaves were illuminated by the blue light. He ran towards the plant, started digging, and he got a sweet potato, but it was imbued with the energy of the blue moon. His experience increased. His harvest level also increased. He plucked the blue cherry as well. He had both blue cherry and blue sweet potato in his hand, and he felt like he had the world in both of his arms. An additional quest appeared. Sejun knew this would happen. The quest asked for both blue cherry and blue sweet potato without offering any reward, and the penalty was death. Sejun knew they might kill him if he just refused this time, so he offered a basket of tomatoes to the tower manager, completing the last quest. The manager was happy with the magical cherry tomatoes in the basket. Sejun ate the blue cherry tomato, and it was fresh and sweet. He could feel a festival in his mouth. He couldn't hold himself and cooked the blue sweet potato as well. The next morning when the rabbits woke up, Sejun was already awake, and he offered them the sweet potato with the energy of the blue moon. But the father rabbit stopped the family and offered Sejun to eat it first. Sejun decided to keep the secret hidden that he already ate it alone earlier. He took a bite of the blue sweet potato, but it was hot as hell. Everyone took a bite, but it was hot for them as well. He noted in his diary that he ate a fiery hot meal today. Next morning, Sejun made up his mind and announced in front of everyone that from now onwards we would be planting the sweet potato sprouts. Sejun asked the baby rabbits not to eat the sweet potato sprouts. The baby rabbits started crying as they liked it very much. They started shouting and made angry faces towards Sejun. He convinced them that they would have even tastier sweet potatoes for dinner. Also, if they helped him plant the sweet potato sprouts, he would also give them special snacks. He expanded the area so he could plant more sweet potatoes. In the name of the special snack, the baby rabbits were excited and started doing their assigned work. Sejun asked the mother rabbit to leave 1 green onion so he could get the seeds by blooming the green onion flower. He decided to plant seeds first so they could become an item. Everybody started working hard. One of the baby rabbits tried to eat the sprouts, for which he got a slap on his head from the father rabbit. Sejun's experience and skill were increasing rapidly as he worked, and after a while, Sejun's job level reached level 8. He decided to harvest more. He started cooking snacks as he promised the baby rabbits. The tower manager was keeping an eye on Sejun to see what he was cooking today. Sejun was slightly annoyed by this message. He called everyone for snacks and made special roasted cherry tomatoes and bone skewers. Usually, cherry tomatoes were baked on the piranha's bone that had already been washed clean. It made the tomato sweeter and softer. It was easy to carry around. Sejun informed the rabbits to blow on it first as it was hot. The sweet potato sprouts were already planted enough, and he decided to dig some sweet potatoes for dinner. Sejun got 15 sweet potatoes, harvesting about 5 sweet potatoes from each tree, and he thought it was a good first harvest. Sejun received a couple of messages. His sewing level was increased. Also, the proficiency of sewing also increased slightly. He understood that he needed to plant all of it by himself just to increase his skill level. He immediately stopped everyone and informed them that he would do it. Somewhere in the tower manager was eating the cherry tomatoes given by Sejun. However, the tower manager didn't like the taste of it and was confused about how humans ate it so deliciously. Then he realized that the inside was sweet, and he accepted that it was delicious. He decided to keep a watch on the human again to see what he was doing. When the Dragon Tower manager saw that Sejun was eating the roast sweet potatoes, he got irritated and requested an additional request. He asked for 1 roasted strength sweet potato to the tower manager, and Sejun postponed it. The social message window appeared again. It said that the tower manager urged him to give the roasted sweet potato. It also said that it wouldn't let him off if he didn't give it the roasted sweet potato. Sejun said that there was only 1 left, and he would offer that only if he could do something about his reward. The tower manager then revised the quest. He offered him a job-related skill. Sejun got excited and offered the sweet potato. The quest was completed when he opened the window. He saw that he was offered a seed store. Sejun was excited to get a seed store. He thanked our manager. He activated the seed store skill. He got a window message informing him about not having any transaction history at the moment. Sejun agreed as it was obvious not to have any as it was his first time activating the skill. Sejun was confused about how to make the purchase as he didn't have any money. The window message offered him entry-level services and also congratulated him on becoming the first rookie customer of the seed store. They provided him 1 tower coin. 1 tower coin was deposited into Park Sejun's account at the seed bank. When he opened the seed store, he was shown 3 types of seeds: red pepper seeds, cabbage seeds, and carrot seeds. While he was thinking which seed to purchase, he mentioned the carrot seeds, grabbing the attention of the rabbits. They insisted on him getting the carrot seeds. Sejun agreed. They purchased the carrot seeds. 0.1 tower coin was withdrawn from his seed bank account. The tower manager was satisfied with this purchase, and she was confused as to why he was feeling satisfied. They started planting the carrots, and from a distance, a bee was watching everything. Sejun was relaxing on the side. Meanwhile, the father and mother rabbit were closely watching the carrots grow. A few days had passed since Sejun planted the carrots. Although the seeds were yet to sprout, the rabbits acted like that all day in front of the place he planted. Sejun decided to take a nap, and after that, he would pollinate the flowers and cut onions in the afternoon. While he was trying to sleep, a bee came buzzing near his ear. He woke up, annoyed by the sound, and noticed that the bee was flying in front of him. He was excited to see the bee. When he looked at her name, it was Poison Honeybee. He was shocked by reading the name. He informed the rabbits that the bee was dangerous. The window message appeared, and the tower manager said that poison honeybees are carnivorous. Bees that hunt monsters with poisonous stings and eat their flesh. Their stingers are very dangerous, so avoiding them is the best course of action. Sejun was shocked to know that they eat flesh. He couldn't believe it himself, and he started shooing the bee away. The bee came near to Sejun. For his defense, Sejun picked up a grass and gave it to the bee and asked to eat this instead of eating him. The bee then looked at the flower on the grass and pollinated it. He understood how this works, and he asked the bee to eat all the other flowers if she was hungry. Sejun understood that at this rate, he doesn't need to pollinate cherry tomatoes anymore. The rabbits came back. The bee then came back to Sejun and slept on his t-shirt. Sejun was a bit tense and asked the bee, "You aren't going to sting me, right?" In his diary of getting lost in the tower, it looks like his family has one more member now. 120 days had passed since he was lost. They all were working together like a family. The rabbit kids were playing, and Sejun was enjoying watching them from a distance. Several weeks had passed since the poison honeybee came there. The bee goes to work in the morning, sucks nectar, and returns to the forest outside the cave in the evening. Maybe she's not going back to her own group, and a few days ago, she started spitting out honey. On the window message, the honey onion was mentioned as the sweet flavor of the freshly grilled green onion is enhanced by the sticky honey of the poison bee. Sejun ate it and found it delicious. Sejun informed the bee that at first, he freaked out because he thought she was poisonous, but thanks to her, he was able to quickly expand the field to get the honey. The tower manager was happy for Sejun, but when he turned around to see the message, it disappeared. After a while, Sejun realized that the blue moon was coming soon. He was worried about that, and he prayed that it goes by safely this time as well. He started preparing for the blue moon. He made a camouflage for himself. He covered the cherries with grass. He also realized that the poison honeybee was not coming anymore. He thought she must be preparing for the blue moon as well. He noticed that the rabbits were especially anxious today. The rabbit family hugged each other, and quickly the father and the mother rabbit ran towards their house and they shut the door. Sejun was shocked that they could leave their babies behind like that. He was worried that the blue moon is coming, and as he finished his words, the blue moon was above him. When he turned around, he noticed that the baby rabbits went crazy. Their eyes were red, and they had monstrous teeth. They all were growling loudly. Sejun was so confused and scared at the same time. The baby rabbits were not small anymore. Their body structure changed. Their eyes changed as well as their facial expressions changed. All the rabbits bumped into each other. A light flashed on Sejun's eyes. Surprisingly, the color of the rabbits changed. 4 of them were of white color and 1 of them was black. Sejun noticed that they have become adults and has changed their color. He also noticed that it was the 5th blue moon since they were born. It was like a coming-of-age ceremony. Sejun was worried that something happened to the rabbits. He picked them and started kissing them as retribution kisses. The blue moon was gone, and the mother rabbit and father rabbit came outside their house. They all hugged each other. Sejun decided to prepare coming-of-age feasts for them. They all summoned items such as farmer's cart, water can and shovel. Sejun understood that when they become an adult, farmer rabbit can have their own item and he couldn't borrow it. Sejun wondered about the black rabbit. He summoned a hammer. When he checked his name, it was Warrior Black Rabbit. Everybody started working hard in the farm. The adult rabbits were even helping with their mom and dad's work. Sejun was emotional as the cute babies that used to run around have grown up so well. He was touched, but he was again worried about the black rabbit. He was confused about his job. Since they were in the cave, there won't be any monster that will endanger the farm, so there is nothing to fight for him and the hammer can't be used to help farming. Sejun decided to do fishing with him as hunting is also a kind of fight. He decided that he will lure the fish with the torch and the warrior will catch them or kill them. He raised the torch towards the pond of fish came out and the warrior rabbit smashed the fish with his hammer. The smash was so powerful that the fish was separated from its bone and was almost turned into a paste-like thing. The black rabbit was sad, but Sejun convinced him that he'll get better if you keep on practicing. And just like that, the rabbit started getting used to their roles. After the 125th day, the seed store was reopened. Sejun was curious as he was gonna purchase this time. He again had 3 options: sweet pumpkin seeds, watermelon seeds, and waxy corn seed. However, the prices of the currently listed seeds were different from the previous one. He only had 0.9 tower coins. With this he could only purchase waxy corn seeds. He was confused as what he should do. If it keeps getting more expensive, he won't be able to buy anything next time. Moreover, he didn't even have any way to increase his money in this place. There were only 3 options for getting a reward. First one was getting the rewards after clearing a floor. Even though the amount is high, the price was rewarded only once on each floor, so the percentage of the actual profits earned by the hunters is not that big. The second method was hunting the monster and selling the monster body to the wandering merchant or to the store on the first floor. It's the best source of income for the hunters because it can make continuous profit. And the third method was completing the quest and getting rewarded. Sejun asked the tower manager if he can reward him to coins for completing the quest. The tower manager was unknown about the tower coins. He advised that he will give him the tower coin when he grow up. Sejun asked how many more years do he need to finally grow up, to which the tower manager replied that he need to be at least 300 years old. Sejun was annoyed by this, because then he need to record all the tower coins he had starting from now and pass them down from generation to generation, and eventually his 7th generation grandchildren will receive it. He decided to prioritize what he can do for his survival. As of now, he knew that he could only purchase corn seeds. Well, it was not a bad choice either. He purchased 200 waxy corn seeds. Everyone was happy now. They decided to eat something first. They cooked the fish and ate it. The honeybee came back after so many days. Suddenly the honeybee and the black warrior rabbit noticed something above. A sound came from above. It was a cat. A cat who could talk. The cat asked everyone that he was not a shameless cat who is here to steal their food. The cat then came down and stood in front of Sejun. The cat said hello and asked if he was Park Sejun. He gave his name as Theo, the wandering merchant. In his diary, Sejun wrote about meeting the wandering cat. Sejun had heard long ago that they would meet a wandering merchant when they went up in the tower, but he didn't expect the wandering merchant to be a cat. Sejun noticed the physical characteristics of the cat, his shiny eyes and those chubby, soft cheeks. It seemed like Park Sejun really liked cats. The cat came to know that a new rookie had made transactions in the seed store, and he came here to greet him and make some deals. Sejun was confused about what kind of deals the cat was offering. While they were talking, the cat's stomach made some sounds as he was hungry. He informed that he hadn't eaten anything today. Sejun had a weird smile on his face. Sejun offered him a roasted fish. At first, the cat declined as he could not touch the customer's food. Sejun lured him by talking more about the fish's texture. He finally ate 5 fish and was full. The cat thanked Sejun for the food. As he was about to talk about the deals, Sejun asked him for 0.5 tower coins, asking him to pay for the fish he just ate. The cat was in shock and asked if it wasn't for free, to which Sejun replied that nothing is free of cost in this world. The cat then gave 0.5 tower coins to Sejun. The cat was sad as he came here to take the customer's money, but instead, he was the one who was giving away the money. He decided that he couldn't be defeated like this and that he would definitely sell all his things. The cat then removed a few items from his bag and kept them in front of Sejun: a tumbler, a mini fan, and a portable hand warmer. He started advising about the specialty of the objects. The cat informed about the tumbler, how it could hold hot or cold stuff inside it and maintain the temperature. Talking about the mini fan, he said it had a wind magic enchantment. Sejun cut him off while he was speaking and said all the items he brought were trash. The cat became angry and said that these items were from outside the tower and he was not recognizing their value. Sejun responded that he was also someone from outside the tower and said that there was no such magic inside these things. Sejun informed that he got scammed by someone as this fan also works on battery, and it already ran out of it too. The cat was worried and started checking the fan. The cat started crying, and his tone also changed. He started crying, asking why he gets scammed every time. Sejun politely asked Theo to tell him what happened. Theo informed that he was from the 75th floor, one of the tower's neutral zones. Theo informed that for a long time, he had a crush on Meryl, the most beautiful girl in the Granner village. His friends convinced him to confess his feelings to Meryl. However, Meryl rejected him by throwing his fish bouquet away and calling him cheap. Theo insisted that he worked so hard to get these roasted fish. Then came a cat who was the son of the richest cat in the village. He gifted Meryl a high-quality salmon, and Meryl accepted it. Theo tried to stop Meryl and asked her to remember all the memories they shared together. Meryl rejected everything and said that she just smiled at him a few times, and he got all delusional and kept following even though she said she didn't like him. She said she hated poor cats that smelled cheap rice fish like him the most. So then Theo decided to run away and become a wandering merchant with the determination to become rich and get his revenge. He even bought the necessary license and equipment to become a wandering merchant using his lifelong savings worth 50 tower coins. He was going to buy something from the peddler with the remaining 5 tower coins to resell them. He met Scarum in a place, and he informed him that things from outside the tower were really precious. Theo asked why he was informing him about this secret, to which he said because he liked him. Scarum influenced Theo to purchase all the items. He thought he was going to make more money by selling all the stuff, but all of them were rubbish, and the customer took away all his remaining money. Sejun gave it a thought and asked Theo to eat more fish. Theo denied as he thought that Sejun was going to charge him again for the fish. Sejun denied and said he would consider everything he ate before as a treat. In exchange, he asked him if he could work with them. Sejun wrote in his diary about how he found a partner. The cat confirmed what Sejun had just said. Sejun needed a good merchant to sell his items. Theo doubted himself, seeing himself as just a noob and a useless wandering merchant. Sejun praised his ability and how he had just found a business partner with the story he had told. Theo was confused at this point. Sejun called the rabbits, and they prepared a seat for Sejun and Theo to relax and talk about their business. Sejun recounted what had happened with him and gave him an offer that was a win-win situation for both of them. The offer was that Theo would take Sejun's items and sell them to other people, and Sejun would give an incentive from some of the sales revenue. Sejun advised that Theo had to sell the items above the prices he set. He could sell at a much higher price because he had the ability for it. He would get 3 to 5% of the price of items that he would sell. Theo thought that the condition was too unfavorable for him. Sejun mentioned that he hadn't told him the most important thing yet. He would also pay Theo with 10 grade fish or equivalent coins per week. These were the terms and conditions of the proposed contract that Sejun offered Theo. Theo was scared, as he had been deceived like this before. Theo couldn't control himself and asked for 20 grilled fish. Sejun, in a good mood, offered him 25 more fish. Besides the weekly pay, he could eat as much fresh credit as he wanted. Theo couldn't say no to this. Sejun asked for a paper and made a contract. They both agreed to the contract by putting their fingerprints. The contract was complete. A social window appeared and stated the lifetime distribution contract. Sejun knew that inside the tower, a contract is one of the most important documents that cannot be destroyed. Sejun was confused before as to why they would make it this way, but now he understood that it was because it would be effective and more valid this way. Theo was concerned about the fourth clause, as it said that Theo should use the Naya accent when selling items. He asked Sejun about the same, to which Sejun replied that he'd understand it later. Sejun had a lot of belief in Theo's ability to sell things. Now came the real question in Theo's head: what would he be selling? Sejun informed him that he'd be selling cherry tomatoes. Theo asked about the selling price. 0.05 tower coin per piece, said Sejun. Theo asked for 1,000 cherry tomatoes. Sejun prepared 1,000 cherry tomatoes along with 25 grilled fish as his weekly payment. Sejun was confused as to how he would carry this. Theo had an item called the bundle, which had preservation magic, space expansion magic, and magic that would make it lightweight. Theo went for the sale. A few days later, on the 38th floor of the tower, fighting was going on between some warriors and a monster spider. The warriors tried to corner the monster, using powers such as throwing fireballs from their bare hands. The leader of the Phoenix Guild, Kim Dongshik, sliced the head of the monster with just one sword skill. He was not interested in people's praise. He then asked Jessica that he wouldn't let her off if she cheated like the last time. She was clearly flirting with the leader. From behind the bush came Theo. He introduced himself to the warriors, and as he said the Naya, every girl present there found him cute. Then he realized why Sejun told him to do so. He then presented them with the cherry tomatoes. A few of them misjudged the food item and showed no interest. But then Theo asked everyone to check its status. Everybody just read the first line that it increases 0.01 MP for 10 minutes, which everybody found too low. Knowing that it would cost 0.05 tower coins per piece, they were not interested in this. As they started to go away, a lady read the line where it said you will lose 10 grams of fat when you eat it. Everybody stopped just by listening to this, and everybody started reading the status again. Everyone got crazy over this. Someone asked for 100 cherry tomatoes, and some asked for 200, and some asked for everything he had. Suddenly, everybody was interested in the cherry tomatoes, and they purchased each and every last one of them. Everything was sold out. Out of the 1,000 carrot seeds Sejun bought and planted from the seed store, only 700 have sprouted. Of the 12 magic cherry tomato seeds he planted after harvesting them from the plants, only 732 have sprouted and are growing. The germination rate of the corn and sweet potato seeds he bought from the seed store and personally planted is about 60 to 70%. The germination rate of the carrots and cherry tomatoes is also similar. Sejun wanted the sprouts to grow more, but as his farmer level was low, or maybe the land wasn't fertile because it was inside a cave, the sprouts were not growing faster. But he was sure that he would find a better way to cultivate them later. Now, with Theo there to earn the tower coins, he just needed to harvest as many crops as possible. Meanwhile, the Black Rabbit was now an expert in fishing. In one go, he used to catch 5 to 6 fish. He was proud of himself. Sejun praised the Black Warrior Rabbit. The Black Rabbit's body was shining as he was leveling up. Sejun decided to take a break, and he went to have coffee. It seemed that Theo and the goblin never opened the tumbler. If Theo were to sell this coffee to Sejun, he might spend all his money just to buy this. As they didn't have any tools to boil water, they used ice cubes to make iced Americano and used the bee for honey. He made honey Americano. It was a combination of coffee powder dissolved in the cool cave water mixed with poison bees' thick honey to create a perfect harmony of bitter and sweet taste. With just one sip, this combination can relieve fatigue and hunger. But the rabbits didn't like the taste of it. Sejun assumed that the rabbit's tongue has a better sense of bitter taste than humans. The honeybee made a beehive up there, which means she was also staying with them. A new quest was generated. The tower manager asked Sejun to give 10 magic cherry tomatoes. But this time, the refusal was not death, it was disappointment. Sejun understood that they had realized something after seeing his deal with Theo. Their threats like "offer me or I'll kill you" had disappeared now. Sejun offered the cherry tomatoes. The manager thanked him first for his kindness. Meanwhile, somewhere in the tower, the goblins were discussing Theo's return. They were curious as to why he hadn't returned yet. They were laughing at Theo being a pushover and how Scarum sold trashy items easily by deceiving Theo. Scarum was now planning to deceive Theo again. He was thinking of buying him a glass of milk, informing him about a big opportunity, and then lending him his money to accomplish it. Poor Theo would have to work hard and repay the loan he borrowed from him. But he won't be able to pay his debt, let alone the ever-increasing interest. In the end, Theo will become his slave till death. This was his plan. The other goblin asked him to find him soon, as it is not easy to find such a pushover. He acted smart and said not to be reckless for your prey. He then started looking at today's wandering merchant sales ranking. He was finally in the top 1,000. He was happy that he deceived Theo and sold those trashy items. But soon he realized that Theo's ranking was even higher than his. He was furious and started thinking that it was impossible for him to sell those things. Theo came back after a couple of days. Theo was playing out there for 4 days after selling all the stuff. Theo told him that he needs 10 days to make a round trip to the 30th floor. But still, he had time to play for 4 days even after selling out. Sejun was confused and angry at the same time. He asked Theo to explain everything properly if he doesn't want to see a scary side of him. He explained everything and gave Sejun 50 tower coins, from which Sejun returned 2 tower coins. Theo wanted more, but he got demoted as he was playing for 4 days out there. And if he works hard next time, Sejun will raise the incentive to 5%. He asked Theo about his dialect. Theo said he decided to live this way as humans like this side more. Sejun thought that soon he'd be famous. Theo was confused. Sejun explained that on every tomato, the farmer's name is displayed on the stats. Theo was in big trouble, as there was a system for a beginner wandering merchant that forcibly hides the origin of their goods. This policy was meant to prevent wealthy wandering merchants from stealing the suppliers of beginner wandering merchants. And because Theo was still a beginner wandering merchant, Sejun's name as the cultivator of the crops has been forcibly covered. Theo got worried that if Sejun gets to know about this, he will be demoted to an intern or a part-timer. He started acting weird and asked Sejun for more tomatoes for selling. Sejun asked him to relax for a few days, but he didn't listen and started collecting the tomatoes. Now the only way to remove the restriction to display the cultivator's name was to achieve 1,000 power coins and become a mid-level wandering merchant. Outside a big building, the warriors in casual dress were having a conversation about certain things being possible or not. Suddenly, the leader got a message from his daughter with a picture of cherry tomatoes and told him that he was the best dad ever and how much she loves him. His eyes got teary from happiness. A fellow member asked their leader about what happened. He said his daughter used to be annoyed every day because she was struggling with her diet. He regretted that he only bought 20 pieces last time. If he knew she'd like it this much, he would have bought everything. Another guy was confused as to why girls and women were going crazy about these cherry tomatoes. Another one added that he was in a fling with a girl, and he gave her the cherry tomatoes, and now they're dating. That guy still had a few cherry tomatoes left. Everybody asked him to sell those to them. Everyone was going crazy to buy those cherry tomatoes, which eventually helped people to lose weight. The leader thought for a minute and ordered to gather everyone and to move out to the 38th floor. Jessica and even the other team members were also ready. They were also ready with tower coins to purchase the cherry tomatoes. Everybody acted as if they wanted to go there to defeat the monster, but deep inside, everybody just wanted to purchase cherry tomatoes. The leader also made up his mind that he's going to buy the cherry tomatoes and become a great dad. Theo was wandering in the forest, thinking about when he would be able to reach the sales amount of 1,000 tower coins. The maximum amount of cherry tomatoes that could be stored in the bundle was 15 only. He was wondering that it's going to take forever to reach 1,000 tower coins, but he gathered courage and tried to focus on selling. From behind, a few warriors came and called him out. Seems like they were looking for Theo only. These people were waiting for 3 days to get the magical cherry tomatoes. When they confirmed the rate of cherry tomatoes, Theo said it was increased. Now it is 0.07 tower coins. Theo was afraid for a moment that he increased the price too much. But everybody was cool with it and said it'd be weird if such a great item costs so cheap. They purchased everything from Theo. Even though he raised the price, all the 15 cherry tomatoes were sold in a minute. They asked Theo about when he will appear again. Theo replied he'll be back in 10 days. Seems like now Theo had regular customers. A few girls came and started discussing among themselves that they look alike, pointing out at Theo. They informed him that he looks like a cat they know. The girl then removed Chiru from her bag, which is a famous Korean cat snack, and gave it to Theo. She lured him to give all the chiru only if he will click a picture with her. Then they clicked a picture together. Meanwhile, in the cave, Sejun was teaching a black warrior rabbit to swim because recently, as he was leveling up due to excitement, he jumped into the pond. But he was not harmed luckily. Sejun removed his bottle and noticed that the honey was over. When he looked up at the beehive, he noticed that small babies of poison bees were roaming. Sejun decided to congratulate her, but he didn't want to do that without any gift for her. He called out for the honeybee to come out, but the babies took it in a different way and tried to attack Sejun. The black warrior rabbit was ready to fight them. But suddenly a large-sized bee came out, which was the queen poisonous honeybee. Sejun was confused as if she's the honeybee he used to meet. And here our video ends. Don't forget to like, subscribe and watch the next part of this video.